Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside the Message. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. We're
Yay.
back.
It's midweek.
It's midweek. We're glad to be back with you. Thank you so much for joining us. This evening, we're going to be talking about the message from last Sunday, The Great Escape.
The Great Escape.
Yes, The Great Escape. So a couple of years ago, I don't even know if that was long ago. It had to be because it was before COVID. But anyway, we did one of those Great Escape adventures.
We did two.
We did two of those.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of spiritual principle that we can, delve and dig out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But your story was you were still, when you were a child, you were kind of experiencing the Great Escape. But the point of the conversation is we've been talking about the keys to the kingdom. And so I just want to kind of jump into, what was your main takeaway, in your opinion, what was your main takeaway from
of my own message?
Of your own message. Yeah.
The main takeaway of my own message called The Great Escape, and I told a couple stories about, actually three. I told a story about being tied up as a little kid and having to get out and thinking I was a great escape artist to, fast forward to today where we have all these boxes in the midst of the move. We're moving our lives right now, and how we can be burdened by the trappings of form and the trappings of our lives and the things that we become attached to. And then I talked about the Great Escape room that we went in. And really, I used all those stories to kind of show us ways and have us think of ways in which we're stuck in our lives, in which we're burdened by things, by ideas, by commitments, by agreements, by outdated desires. And they're like the boxes that we're trying to, move, or the heavy luggage that we're trying to carry with us. And it's just harder to move. And to elucidate for us that in order to change from one thought system to another, from the thought system of fear and the thought system of conditioned, separated thinking that we're kind of mired in this experience, to the unified thought system of love, we must be willing. We have to be willing. And the keys to the kingdom assist us in escaping from the prison that we have created for ourselves. And as we approach the keys to the kingdom, we're asked to bring with us the willingness to escape, the willingness to move from one thought system to another, the willingness to go through the discipline and the discomfort that it takes to shift and change from one thought system to another. And the Way of Mastery says, Jesus in the Way of Mastery says, it just takes a smidgen. And we've heard that as, as tiny as a mustard seed, but it definitely does take some willingness, because without that, we wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't even be listening right now.
That's right.
So,
that definitely does.
So that was the gist.
Okay. I was told somewhere through the process of, this discovery of the teaching that as soon as someone literally just cares about somebody else, has a thought of concern or care about somebody else, that you're on the pathway to awakening. Right?
Beautiful.
And so the keys to the kingdom that we've been talking about and that we just talked about briefly, and then what you're bringing forth here, what do you feel like? I'm going to ask this, do you think that most people even know that they have a choice? That that they've created, that they're imprisoned by their own thinking? Do you think that that's, prevalent knowing and knowledge?
Yeah, I think that people, I think that we as Americans in particular do believe that we have freedom of choice and freedom of will. But as we look at the conditioning that we have all been indoctrinated in, even as we'll learn on the first key of desire, even our desires are conditioned. I think people think that they have a choice and the ability to choose, but I think many of us think that we make a choice and then we fail. and we make a choice and we fail. And it's our conditioning that holds us back. It's our conditioning that keeps us stuck and keeps us in that self-imposed prison that we've created.
Yeah. Well, speaking for myself, I didn't know I had a choice. I mean, I was making lots of choices every day, but I was choosing between illusions.
That's an excellent point.
I didn't know that I had a choice about a different way of being, because I'd been conditioned that, well, you can live life normally, whatever that is, according to the world. And then there was the religious indoctrination that you have to behave a certain way because you're being judged, or you're being watched, or you're being, judged by a higher power. And your choice was to be good or be bad. That was your choice. And you were making that choice in some of your choices, but it was never presented that I was choosing between illusions, because the entire thought system, the entire construct of what I thought was my reality wasn't real. That never occurred to me, and had never been introduced to me until I came into introduction of this teaching. And also, I think, I should say prior to that, Buddhists, I did discover a little bit of this in my study of Buddhism, where Buddha believes that he had discovered he was a dreamer of the dream. Right? So what I'm referring to is, would you say that the population in our country, let me just use Western culture here, is informed these days about that they have a choice between what's real and what's unreal? Or do they think that they're...
I don't think that's part of our conversation at all. In fact, even in spiritual circles that we've been in New Thought, science of mind and unity as well. When we bring in the idea of illusion, which is very much presented in A Course in Miracles, there's a lot of resistance to that idea. There is a lot of resistance to the idea that the way that we experience life, how could it not be, anything but real? And so I find in the teaching, I always broach it very carefully, because I don't want to trigger an ego response. I do believe that we have to go there. And the illusion is the way that we perceive the world. The way that we perceive the world is illusory. And so, yes, I do agree that we are choosing between illusions. And which illusion are you going to fight for? Which, side are you going to be on, when neither side is really speaking truth?
Right.
And so I think the illusion of choice, which would be a really great topic, actually, for us to have that as a topic, the illusion of choice, the illusion of free will.
Right.
How free are you really? And I do think that comes into our, I'm hearing it in people of opinion and news right now. When, what was that show that we watched on social media?
Where the thinking is being controlled?
Absolutely.
Of children through social media?
Not just children, adults.
Adults too, yeah.
And marketing and advertising. We know that we're being conditioned all the time. Yeah. And so I think that there is a way to approach this that would absolutely lay the groundwork to say, hey, we are choosing between illusion. And there really is only one choice. We are doing A Course in Miracles lessons, and in the recent lessons were around today is day 76. But some of the more recent ones are, think of all the ways that you have tried to escape or tried to believe that you've made a choice to set yourself free, only to find yourself still in the condition, in the prison. And none of those ways have worked. That there's only one way, and that way is God's plan for salvation, which is, the thought system that we are speaking of, the thought system of love, a unified thought
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Lately, I've been calling it the game of chance,
Yeah,
really, because
yeah.
the whole construct of the ego mind is really you're gambling all day long. If I do this, will this work? If I eat this, will I be healthy? If I do this, will I be sick? And it just continues on and on. So, how does this play in then to desire? Let's come back to the desire as the first key. What are we really escaping?
We're really escaping the conditioned thought system.
Okay.
We're really escaping a conditioned thought system and a false idea of where our good lies and where our salvation lies.
So if we behave a certain way, then when we pass away, we would have escaped it.
Well, that's one way of thinking it. It's a traditional theology might think that. I haven't taught that for quite a while.
Right.
But
so how does that differ from what we're teaching here at True Thought?
How it differs is the illusion that heaven and that our good is in an afterlife only, and that you be good in this situation here. And if you cross your T's right and dot your I's right according to a doctrine, then upon death and the last judgment, you'll either enter into the kingdom of heaven after death or not. We teach, life is eternal, that death is an illusion, and therefore that heaven is here now, and it's the realm of ever expanding good, and that we don't experience it, we cannot see it or experience it because of this conditioned thought system and because of the layers and layers and layers of grievances and judgments that mask our vision or cloud our vision, and that we cannot see it. And then, lifetimes of this, we believe then that cloudedness is real and that we cannot pass through it. And what we teach is that no, heaven's here now, that we must awaken in this lived experience to be Christ. Christ, I saw this funny cartoon. It's like, and it's Jesus, like at a resurrection. And it's like, I didn't say I was going to come again. I said the Christ is coming again. And the Christ is the awakened mind, which we all partake of.
Right.
So
in the terms of desire, then, what we're looking to discern is that, are we desiring to make decisions between illusions, or are we desiring to recognize that we are deluded in that entire process and can make another choice of being awakened?
Well, I really didn't go to desire yet in my conversation. I was really talking about the willingness. And it's the willingness to allow myself to be awakened from asleep. As the Buddha, I'm the dreamer of the dream. I am willing to awaken from the dream. I cultivate a willingness that is what my desire is, that I want to awaken from the dream of separation, and I want to awaken to my divine identity, to my true self, to my true desires. And as we will be talking about, the way of the heart, not the intellect, but the way of the heart will be the way for that. But right now, we're really just talking about cultivating the willingness to just suspend our disbelief that we can live a joyful heavenly experience now. Suspend the conditioned belief that it's in an afterlife and become willing to believe that it can be here now. Not only that, it's already done. I think that's how I ended the conversation. It's already done. It's already accomplished. It's as if we're watching ourselves in The Great Escape. We're off somewhere and we are watching ourselves, probably eating some popcorn going, wow, look at, we're doing a good job, or, oh, that's so tragic at this particular time, because we really believe we're caught in the dream and we believe the reality of illusion.
So if we can escape it, then where are we going to? Is it still in the lived experience and form?
Yeah.
What we're escaping is just a faulty perception, but there's a new perception available.
Right. We believe that all of our solutions are informed. We believe that all of our, if like you mentioned it earlier, if this, then that. If I can get this degree, then I can have that job. If I can lose this weight, I'll attract this particular individual in my life. If I can get this medicine or take this medicine or create the perfect juice, and take it, or the perfect nutrition. And in fact, the lesson for today talks about all these laws, all these agreements that we believe are our salvation, all having to do with form, all having to do with the body. And that is a misperception. And so the idea is, I forgot the question.
Well, what's beyond it? What's beyond it?
What's beyond it?
If we move beyond the
that
the illusion,
it's right
the jail,
here.
what's beyond the jailhouse? And so that we've imprisoned ourselves with, if we agree on that. So what's beyond that?
What's beyond that is the here and now, devoid of the past, without concern of the future, and it is peace. It is joyfulness. It is connection with our divine guidance system that is clear, that is certain, that directs us in our divine purpose and creative expression in this life.
So,
am I answering?
I think
I feel like you're leading me and you want me to say something.
No,
what are you getting at?
Not particular.
Okay.
Not particular.
All right.
Not particular, but I do want to ask you.
Did you feel that?
As a minister and working as you have for many years, what's been your experience? What is an experience you can point to or share with us so that you see the change from where you were, where you really did feel imprisoned,
absolutely.
and do you feel free? And do you feel free now?
Yeah. Do you want to get that? Or just a second. I kicked over the light. Let there be light. Thank you. What was the last part of the question?
What's been your experience, because you've been on this pathway for some time and it's brought you to ministerial work, right? But how would you say this is who I was and how I was imprisoned, and what kind of freedom do you feel now? Is it present now in your life?
Yeah. So I was sharing with you yesterday that during my morning time and meditation and journaling that, I have all kinds of reasons right now to point to conditions in our lives, in my life and in our life together and in his life. Here are some reasons to be unhappy. Here are some reasons to stay stuck, to stay in prison. I could list them for you, and yet I'm happy. I am unconditionally happy, and I feel at peace, and I know that everything is well. Now, that is completely different than who I was and how I was, because my happiness and my peace was always conditioned upon something happening or being resolved. And there's a lot of things unresolved in our lives by the world's standards, right? We're in the middle of a move. We're kind of in a temporary situation right now. And we have particular challenges that by any other standard would be monumental. My mother recently passed away. I mean, I could just tick down all the different things. And none of that really matters. I'm not saying I'm denying I have feelings or experiences connected with it, but what I am saying is that it's easier and easier for me to see past the power that I used to place in the world and to realize that there's only one power. And it's what we say, that power is God. And it's the unified thought system of love that when I align with it, all power under heaven and earth is mine. I can say that today. I know that all is well, and I mean it. I'm not just affirming it, trying to make myself believe it. I know it. And I can stand upon the precipice of not knowing what is going to happen next and be in the mystery and the cloud of unknowing and feel at peace. That is unprecedented.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's like continuous 24/7, but it is more and more and more a way of being that I experience now. So that's
Beautiful.
something I can share. And this from a girl who didn't know who she was, what she wanted, used substances to sate her fear, and so on. So just like the rest of us, right?
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I can say that I moved from negotiating through the world because it was coming at me. And so I was trying to become adept at sidestepping this and sidestepping
Yeah.
that.
And you've got the moves. I've seen his moves. I mean, he's a good dancer.
and planning, as far out as I can, and doing all the things that I need to do to keep all these plates spinning, to keep everything under control as I'm navigating through this forest of potential disaster. And now I don't have that experience really. I mean, yeah, there's times when things come up and I'll find myself getting hooked by those old patterns, but in very short time, I can literally laugh at them because I realize that's just an old pattern and I can see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And so for me, the freedom of being, broke free of the jailhouse that I created is that I'm no longer a victim of the world.
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
really what I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so think of in your life, how you were, and through a spiritual practice or through some sort of transformation, what it's like now. And focus there. Focus on that. Because as we focus on what we want and what we desire, and we become willing to be all in and be willing to commit fully to a new thought system, a new language, and to be teachable, which is part of what we're going to talk about next, or you're going to talk about next Sunday, then as we approach the keys to the kingdom, look out, we will have these experiences. So bring your thoughts, your questions, your examples of this in your life. Share it with your brothers and sisters when we get together and have our conversations.
Yeah. I remember watching a show one time, and it was all probably just made up, but it was one minister talking to another minister, and they were talking about church, yada, yada. And the one said to the other, well, once you get past a certain point, it's just the same old story, and then you got to start dealing with life. In other words, it doesn't really take you anywhere. And so now you're just focused on your behavior and just waiting to die to see what the day of judgment is going to be, right? That's not what this is about. What this is about is literally, for me, an ever increasing experience of connection to spirit and joy. And there's no end to that. It just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And I know that's a big call. I mean, that's a big, whatever I want to say. That's a big promotion I'm making here. But that's what I really believe, that true thought principles and the pathway and the narrative and the language that we're trying to share with you can provide you with is an ever increasing level of comfort, an ever increasing level of peace, an ever increasing level of joy and bliss. And it doesn't end. It just keeps getting better and better in this lived experience, not in some afterlife. We're not working towards the afterlife. We're working for today in the very present moment that we're in right now. Because if we understand this language that we've opened the door to this discussion on, it brings us more and more gently to a higher and higher level of experience of love.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I feel that. Do you feel that? I feel that.
I feel that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This has been a great conversation.
So on Sunday, I'm going to talk about humility. we talked for the whole month of February about forgiveness.
We did.
And forgiveness and humility are like these two tools that we can use to guide and help us along the pathway as we also use the keys of the kingdom. Those aren't they're not going to be identified as two of the keys of the kingdom, but they are the elements or the tools of thinking and action that help the keys of the kingdom work. And so next Sunday I'll talk about humility and its importance in your experience and my experience, that it's something that we can rely on to help us to continue to experience more and more joy, more and more peace.
I can't wait to hear that. Yeah.
No, well,
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for such a beautiful
You're
message
welcome.
on Sunday.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and thank you for being there. We
Thank
appreciate you. God
you.
bless you. You can find us at truthout.org. You can join our mailing list, and we'll send you emails about future things that are happening. And we're going to soon be doing some shifting of our Wednesday night offering. But until we get there, we appreciate you being here with us. We hope you'll join us on our Zoom session, our gathering of our inner circle. And God bless you for being there. And if you'd like to make a contribution, you can go to truthout.org. We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.